Wolf's Den Supplemental is a segment of my show where I talk about whatever topic comes to mind. And is meant to supplement the regular videos. Think of these as editorials. You know, it's funny, in hindsight, the kind of things that I end up talking about on my thing. Because I've hit a bit of a wall here with this very first video for season 2 of Wolf's Den. And that is, I could talk about, the whole uh frickin' well, okay. The first I decided I wanted to bookend season 2 of Wolf's Den with Mario titles. Specifically Mario 1 and or I'll do it this way. Mario 1 and Mario 3, right? Because I just figured that would be nice and poetic, kind of do a nice bookend thing. Start it with Mario, end it with Mario, and have the theme just kind of be, you know, oh, to kind of talk about, to kind of just be a, let's talk about different things I'm into, right? As well as things that, I have tried to be into, but, otherwise couldn't, didn't really get into all that much. One of my favorite examples being in with Tales of Arise, which actually I'm in the middle of editing at the time of this recording, which is not long before this video goes live. For the record, it's like a week and a half away from going live, roughly. Yeah, not cool. Well, on my part, not cool, but regardless, I think one of the biggest things that kind of made me go, that made me just kind of, the whole purpose of Wolf's Den was just to kind of share my thoughts with different things, right? It was never meant for me to well, that, and I felt like filling the gap with, well, effectively what has stopped, which is, ruminations from the lore runner. He has effectively switched over to the streaminations thing, and even then, that's a whole lot of, yeah, he much more prefers streaming because apparently doing, the YouTube videos was kind of destroying his psyche, right? Now that makes sense because he put a lot of effort into his videos, right? And all of the ones that he wanted to do, well, he kind of already did. So there was no real point in going ahead and doing that. The problem here, and what ultimately kind of screwed it, was screwed this first video specifically, and why it took me so long to get to it, was the problem of, I could talk about, the NES and how it came to be, and and how weird it is that the 83 the video game crash of 83 lasted all of 2 years or whatnot, or how Nintendo you know got around the whole, assuaging people's fears of it by marketing their thing as a toy, which kind of had repercussions down the line, but I'm not willing to blame Nintendo for that, for one very simple reason. It was about the only way video games were going to become a thing. Thank you, Atari, for not having any goddamn control over over what games you allowed on your damn system. I mean, for God's sakes, there are there are Atari porn games, for God's sakes. Sakes. you know the 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 restrictions on what could and could not be on in the could and could not be on the system kind of were, or well, it was all over the place and out of control, right? I could talk about all of that. I could even talk about how I got into gaming, which would actually be a good way to point this out. But I think I'd rather talk about how Wolfstand came about in general. So you can kind of think of this as the as me telling the origin story of Wolfstand. Now, to be fair, it's nothing glamorous. So if you're expecting some, big epic speech about, oh, I had a vision. No. I didn't have a goddamn vision for this show. I just looked at what the lore runner was doing and said, "Oh, cool, I'll do that." Now, it is a little more complicated than that, but not by much. That's really when you boil it down, it was I looked at the lure runners format and said that is the format I want, right? It's why I use his pluses and minuses system on stream. It's his system. I make it clear that's his system, his audit spreadsheet that I use for the audit, for the audit process. Yes, his reviews that are a compare and contrast. I've actually been asked on stream before, why do I have a do I agree with list, and what makes the lore runners the lore runners reviews that I agree with list. Well, it's because for one thing, I don't have any other ones that I would turn to. Nobody else really kind of does reviews in the same way that lore does. So of course I'm going to consult the actual person who's put in multiple amounts of time and effort and polish into his system. Now, does that mean that there's going to be an audit for several of the reviews, especially ones that haven't had reviews post Oblivion line? Yeah, absolutely, right? Now, will I go through the full audit? No, but I might put up an update, right? A kind of updated rating, right? To kind of do so. I obviously don't want to just flood my YouTube channel with nothing but those, but occasionally just redoing one, and every now and again, maybe doing a proper remake of it. That's one thing. Admittedly, the rating videos are actually kind of meant as a, well, I don't have a website, so here's a resource you can consult. There's an entire playlist on my YouTube channel called Review Ratings, which is, I basically put out the ratings, which is hilarious because the whole reason that playlist exists in the first place is because I lost the VODs to Fire Emblem Warriors. How's that for irony? Actually lost the VODs, both of the VODs that I had for, well, I think it was I lost the second VOD, and then the first VOD I just deleted because there was no point in having one VOD and then just the rating video. That just would have sucked. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole bunch of shenanigans that happened now 2 years ago, and I really don't want to get into it. Let's just say shenanigans were afoot, and I don't want to get into it at all. uh, uh. Regardless of any of that, regardless of any of that, I will say this much. I I will go ahead and say this much. As I said, the rating videos are kind of meant to just be a resource, right? The reason I make those is to make sure that everything runs smoothly with it. And I just realized something that I actually need to check real quick because I think I am an idiot. Okay, not a super big idiot, but I am going to have to record a thing. Speaking of one of those, I'm actually going to have to record one of those pretty soon. Oh, great! Great amount of professionalism, Alex. Not only do you have to frickin' edit this damn thing, but you also got to record that damn thing. I am an idiot. Anyways, moving on. But yeah, no, there's nothing more glamorous than in any of that really. I'll probably call this thing Woolsten Supplemental, which I know is weird for for a start of a season. You can think of the next season, the next video, uh, as the proper Wolf's beginning. Wolf's season 2 start, but regardless of any of that, I think one of the big things for me is, and the main reason why I continue to do these Wolf Den videos and plan to do so with like movies and anime and stuff. Like I've started the Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Those don't get any traction, but I do them for my own sake, so they will continue, and they will continue until for as long as I can keep this going. But regardless of any of that, I think what makes me appreciate reviewing. I actually just talked about this today from my perspective, active on stream. I think what makes me enjoy gaming as much as I do and reviewing games is that it helps broaden my horizons. It helps me look at things in a different light. You know, I enjoy playing different games. Hell, one of the things I even enjoy is playing with different controllers. Whether it's my Retro Fighters controller, or Retro Fighters Defender controller, the Dual Sense, the Series X controller, or I know the Joy-Cons are around here somewhere, or even the Joy-Cons, for as overrated as I think these things are or yeah, you can stick me. I'm not necessarily in the camp that say they are the worst freaking controllers, but they are pretty bad. Functionality, like utility wise, they are pretty good. Actual mechanical everything is pretty bad, right? I have had to replace my Joy-Con several times because of Joy-Con drift, and I hate it. I've had Joy-Con drift. I've had buttons damaged. I don't want to. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that. My point in bringing all of this up. My point in bringing all of this up is that I kind of just wanted something to be here. I could have just foregone. I could have just foregone this whole idea right at the beginning inning. I might even just put one of the other videos is in front of this and just have this be a video on the other side. But at the same time, I kind of enjoy it. The reason I do this is because I kind of have fun doing it, and that's the honest truth. Sure, I don't always get these out on time, and this is actually partially why the game portions of these are going to stop, because I find doing things on movies to be a lot easier to and oftentimes will be a lot easier to edit. I mean, God, for God's sakes, I actually, when I did with the Wilson proper video on Trails Through Daybreak, which you will see, much later, yeah, that took me a solid 3 hours. That was 3 hours of me sitting here and just yapping. that is going to be a monster to edit. Because God knows that happened with Cold Steel 1. Regardless of what I decide to do with these videos, I enjoy. Oh, there's that buzzing again. Anyways, uh, I enjoy making these videos, and honestly, if anybody finds time to watch these and ends up enjoying them, that's all I can ask. But I think that's gonna do it for me. I've just been rambling because it's just a kind of a thing that I had on my mind, and that's Wolf's Den Supplemental in a nutshell, which is kind of you know the brilliance of it. I've only been sitting here for 15 minutes talking, but that's the point, right? So, oh yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna chop off, and I'm gonna get started on some other stuff. So I will talk to you later. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. See you later.